All right, today we're going to dive into one of the deepest topics out there, the nature of reality itself. And we're going to use Khenpo Tsultrim Gyamtso Rinpoche's incredible guide to take a journey step by step through meditating on what's called emptiness. So let's get started.
But let's begin with a really simple question. Right now, at this very moment, you have a sense of being an I, right? An observer, a self, watching this. But where is it exactly? I mean, can you actually point to it? Is it in your head, in your chest, in your thoughts? Now, this isn't just a philosophical game. It's the very first step of a really radical investigation.
And why even bother with a question like that? Well, the teaching here is that our automatic, unexamined assumption that there's a solid, permanent me at our core, that is the very root of all our anxiety, our stress, and our suffering. It's this deep-seated belief we all have, but it's built on a foundation we almost never look at.
So you can think of this explainer as a kind of roadmap. We're going to journey through increasingly subtle and, honestly, more accurate ways of seeing reality, peeling back the layers of our everyday assumptions to get to a much deeper kind of understanding.
And this really gets to the heart of the conflict. See, on one hand, you've got our gut feeling, that there is a solid, unchanging me who's been there our whole lives. But on the other hand, when you actually look closely, like meditators do, what you find is just a constantly shifting stream of thoughts, feelings, and sensations. There's this huge gap between how things feel and how they actually are.
And I love this metaphor from Rinpoche. He says it's like refining gold ore. You see, this isn't about just flipping a switch from believing in a self to not believing. No, it's a gradual process. Each stage is like using a more and more sophisticated method to get the impurities out, getting closer and closer to that pure gold of direct experience.
So our journey is going to happen in 3 big shifts. First, we're going to turn that magnifying glass inward and look for the self. Then we're going to zoom out and start questioning the so-called external world. And finally, we'll arrive at a view that goes beyond all of our fixed ideas.
Okay, now the real investigation begins. Stage 1 starts by turning that magnifying glass inward, looking for this thing we call me.
And here's the beautiful irony of this first stage. The practice is to systematically look through every part of your experience. You check your body, your feelings, your thoughts. You search everywhere for a single, permanent boss who's in charge of it all. And the harder you look, the more it dawns on you. It's just not there. You can't find it anywhere.
Now the text uses this fantastic dream analogy that we're going to keep coming back to. Imagine you're in a dream, being chased by a tiger. The fear is completely real, right? But then, what happens the moment you realize, oh, I'm dreaming? You suddenly see that the person being chased isn't the real you. And just like that, the terror dissolves. This first stage is exactly like that. Okay, so we've looked inside for a solid self and came up empty. So now, the investigation expands. We're moving into stage 2, where we start to question the very nature of the outside world. And this question gets right to the heart of it. I mean, think about it. How do you know you aren't dreaming right now? You might say, well, waking life feels more real, it's more consistent. But is it really? We've all had incredibly vivid dreams, and the point here is that there's no foolproof test you can perform to prove that this isn't just a very, very convincing dream.
This brings us to the second huge shift in perspective. We start to see that the hard line we draw between an inner me who sees and an outer world that is seen, that's just an idea. It's a conceptual habit. In our actual experience, the seer and the seen, the sound and the listener, they arise together. They're inseparable.
So let's go back to our dream. In stage 1, we realized the dream character wasn't really us. But now the insight goes deeper. You realize the tiger chasing you isn't separate from you either. The whole thing, the character, the tiger, the jungle, it's all made of the same stuff. It's all just the play of your own mind.
And this brings us to the third and final shift, which is definitely the most subtle. It's called the middle way because it cleverly steers between all extreme ideas, all of our fixed concepts about reality.
Now, it is absolutely crucial we get this definition right. Emptiness does not mean nothingness. It's not a big black void. It simply means that things are empty of existing in this solid, independent, permanent way we think they do. That's it.
And the perfect analogy for this is a rainbow. Think about it. A rainbow is vividly there, right? It clearly appears, you can see it, you can point to it, but you can't go grab it. It has no solid substance of its own. This stage is about seeing that everything, your thoughts, your feelings, that chair, this screen, has this same rainbow-like quality. It's not totally real, but it's not nothing either.
So in the final stage of our dream analogy, we just drop all the labels. We stop calling the dream unreal and waking life real. You see, if you let go of the concept of real, then the concept of unreal just falls away on its own. The mind stops its constant judging and labeling, and it just rests. The dream and reality is finally seen just as it is.
So after taking apart our entire reality, we have to ask the big question. So what? Why does any of this matter in our everyday, normal lives?
Well, the goal is not to end up a nihilist who thinks nothing matters. It's the complete opposite. When we finally let our rigid concepts dissolve, what we find isn't a blank nothingness. We discover the actual nature of our own mind, which is described as being luminous, aware, and naturally knowing. It's a discovery, not a destruction.
And the practical results of this are just profound. When you stop grasping so tightly onto a solid self in a solid world, you just don't get so easily hooked by your emotions. The suffering that's rooted in clinging and pushing things away starts to unravel. And this leads to this incredible sense of freedom and, naturally, a deep compassion for everyone else who's still caught in that same struggle.
So I'll leave you with this to think about. If our moment-to-moment experience isn't as solid or as fixed as we always assume it is, if it's really more like a dream or a reflection or a rainbow, what does that change? What new possibilities open up for you?